Hey, what's up guys, Somebody here. Happy New Year. Sundowns cruise against Orlando Pirates. And who needs Blom when you've got Zwane? And can somebody tell me where Lorch is? Gotta talk about it. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
The DStv Premiership came back with a bang. Sundowns beating Orlando Pirates 2-0. Very dominant performance, I have to say. There was a level of comfortability that I saw that how Mamelodi Sundowns made it. In the first half, Orlando Pirates were still in the bus. I think they were not even on the pitch. They were very slow. You're sort of asking yourself what training was done with Orlando Pirates. And the only chance that they had really was that Koki header. And then also the fact that Saleng had a shot. But other than that, in the first half, they were nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. And if it wasn't for the linesmen, Mamelodi Sundowns could have scored far more goals than they did within this game. They dictated tempo. You know, they got the goal through a set piece, and I think it's also something that Sundowns is also showing, the fact that they don't just score beautiful goals, but they can also get a goal through a set piece as well. In the second half, you could just see that they were so deadly in transition. Every single time when they got the ball back in the counter press, they were always moving it so much faster than what Orlando Pirates were doing. And I have to say, Mamelodi Sundowns kind of showed us that they are levels above Orlando Pirates. Because when I look at the league, I'm thinking to myself, Orlando Pirates is the closest that can challenge Mamelodi Sundowns. But within that game, it just was not to be seen anywhere. And also, the usage of Thembinkosi was immaculate from Rulani, I have to say. The fact that he put him there and around him, he had Morena having to make the run on the left, having to make Sereno run on the right, and Nasir going out wide to up front. I just think it was always like having to draw the Pirates players in to Zwane, and then eventually those players make the run, Zwane makes one pass, and they cut open. And also, Mokoena, deep lying playmaker. That is the new role of a number 6. You know, back in the day, the number 6 used to be the anchor man, used to be the guys that would tackle, that would be so brutal, the Nengo Marshes of this world, the Katandes of this world. But Mokoena brings a different feel in terms of when the ball has to be transitioned from the defense to midfield all the way to the attack. And I'm just kind of seeing that in a lot of teams, and the fact that Rodri, for example, at Manchester City, they have to be able to pass the ball. It's not just people that are just going to war in the midfield. So having to use him in that way and having an Allende just in front of him, Rolani, I see you, man. I see you. I thought that was really good. They made it look comfortable, but there is one player that I just want to give praise to. There was one player that I'm liking so far. There's one player that in these past couple of games for Masandawana, he's been sublime. Neo Maema. I mean, I have to say, within the side, this is the most selfless player in that team. I say selfless because his strengths are in attack. He's usually an attacking midfielder. He's usually found out wide. But this time around, he's not. And in this system, he doesn't do those type of things. What does he do, Shakes? He covers for the likes of Morena. When Morena's bombing up and down that wing, who do you think is covering for him there? You know, being close to Mokoena too, who's playing that deep lying role that we've been talking about. But he's close to him, helping him out as well. And I have to also say, his goals and assist numbers are going to be affected. But you have to watch the game to see the difference that he does to Mamelodi Sundowns. So come into the season, he might have not scored many goals. He might have not created many goals. But the fact that he's able to keep the ball moving at all times is something that is really, really crucial. And also, just what Rulani is doing with him, he's improving him as a player. He's making sure that he's versatile, can play in a number of positions too. So I really do like that. And I have to say, he's going to be very important to their success this season, whether they're playing in the CAF or whether they're playing in the league. But Sundowns, they face Swallows next tonight, and I expect them to win in that game too. Let's talk about how disappointing Orlando Pirates were. I mean, the tactics that they used. I mean, them having to play in the counter-attack. I mean, I look at this side, I look at the players that they have, you know, the numerous of players they have, even in attack as well, the midfield too. I mean, Jose Rivero, this side is more than just a counter-attacking side. You know, it's more than just in transition. They were sitting back most of the time. I'm kind of wondering to myself, Orlando Pirates, if you're trying to win the league or trying to compete with the Mamelodi Sundowns, you have to be able to keep the ball better. You know, you have to show the fact that you can also retain possession too. And that is not something that they did. And don't get me wrong, those tactics work or MTN need. Nah? But you guys came in so naive that, like, you guys did not think Sundowns were not going to be prepared for that. They were just not going to be prepared for that. So I was really disappointed in that. And not only even that, players for me, big players, went missing for me within this game for Orlando Pirates. Number one, Pule. Vincent Pule. I expected more. I've expected more. And if you've seen Vincent Pule in recent years, he's not been necessarily so consistent. Yes, he's had those injuries that has plagued him throughout the seasons, but still, I'm expecting him to be a senior player. Grab the ball, do something, create a chance. Dion Hoto, I think I'm surprised by Dion Hoto because I feel like he's having quite a number of off days than on days. And he used to be such a consistent performer at some point, but sometimes you just can watch a game and only notice Dion Hoto at the 70th minute and be like, he's on the pitch. I never saw him before that. And also, without possession. Kermit Erasmus, what's the use of playing a Kermit Erasmus if you're not going to be able to give him the ball? And that transitional play, it just shows that Erasmus is going to have very few touches. And Saling, the Saling trick, I mean, for me, I'm watching Orlando Pirates. They're always trying to drift the ball out to the right, making it very obvious. And I'm just thinking, this trick is becoming a little bit predictable. Especially if you're going to go up against the Mamelodi Sundowns, they're going to snuff that out. And lastly, Mponjane. He fills in when Ofori is not in goal, so he's the one that comes in goal. But every single time he is in goal, he doesn't give me that confidence. I don't watch Orlando Pirates and think they're not going to concede. Every time he's in goal, I just feel like there's a mistake that's going to be made. And you saw even that rash tackle that he made on Nasir as well. I felt like that could have been a penalty to Sundowns, and potentially he could have been sent off. And I just think it's something that Orlando Pirates need to consider in terms of, do they take him forward after this season? But also, I need your help. Yeah, I need your help, guys. I'm looking for someone. I don't know if you guys have seen him before. He's got a song named after him as well. He scored a couple of goals before. He scored that winner against Egypt in 2019. Lorch, guys. Where is Thembinkosi Lorch? Because, man, I'm trying to find where this guy is. I don't know where he is. I just do not know. And I was speaking about the fact that he scored that win against Egypt in 2019. I brought up some stats here. Since that winner, do you remember that winner? It was a great win for Bafana beating Egypt in Egypt. That was great. But since then, he's only played 80 games in all competitions. So this is not just the league. He's played 80 games, only scored 9 times and had 17 assists. That's since 2019. We're sitting in 2023 now. So just to give you context as well, Thembinkosi, who is equally crucial to Mamelodi Sundowns, since that winner that Lorch scored, how many games has Thembinkosi played? He's played 133 games for Mamelodi Sundowns versus a Lorch who's played 80 games. That's 53 games more. 53 games more. And by the way, just to put more context, Thembinkosi is 4 years older than Thembinkosi Lorch. So he's looking after himself, whereas Lorch, on the other hand, he's just recurring so many injuries all the time. And you sort of have to ask yourself, is he benefiting? Is the club benefiting? Because reports are saying that he's going to be back in January later this month. But he's only played 5 games at this point. And if Orlando Pirates are not going to get the player to come and help the team win games, if the player is not going to play himself and at least get his numbers up and at least also be beneficial to Bafana, then some serious conversations need to be made. And also, you look at what Arsenal did with Abu Dhabi. Great player, but he was not helpful because he was always in the medical room. Jack Wilshere, same thing too. Great player too, but they had to let him go. So I can see at the end of the season that Orlando Pirates, Lorch, sit in the room, have a discussion. I don't know whether the medical room needs to do a little bit better, but a player of this talent, he's not affecting games. He's not part of the team, and it's affecting the team, as you can see. So conversations are going to need to be had at the end of the season. Amakosi with a victory against Golden Arrows this past weekend, a game last season that they lost. So there is a bit of improvement that you can say there. And first off, I have to say, they were on it. They were on it completely. I felt that even with them, when they were countering, when they won the ball back, they used the ball more effectively than what Arrows did. And also, if you saw the game, Kaizer Chiefs targeted that left-hand side, where Divine Lungu was playing at left back. They were targeting that space. You could even see Keegan Dolly was running up and down that space, having the freedom there because Divine Lungu is someone who likes to go forward too. But there's a but. And the but is, it was a 45-minute performance and not necessarily a 90 minutes performance, because in the second half, I felt Kaizer Chiefs suffered. They struggled. They struggled to contain errors. And of course, errors were going to come out. They were going to be in their faces a little bit more. But you're expecting Kaizer Chiefs to control the game a little bit more. Just pass the ball around, keep the possession. That was not happening. And if you also think if Ryan Moon was more clinical for golden arrows, we could have been seeing a 2-2 here. We could have seen a game with a lot of goals too. And I have to say, the question that I asked to the players and to Atazwane too, fitness levels. Fitness levels, where's that at? Because you just saw a lot of players that were starting to cramp at the time. And you're just thinking what was done during the time the World Cup was on. So when the players are cramping, it's something that I think Atazwane totally needs to work on. But I have to also give credit to Kaizer Chiefs. I have to give credit to the club. Credit why? Because I'm noticing something different about this club, especially in recent years. I've put up those names for you. Since the year 2018-2019 season, they've been promoting a lot of players from their youth, from their development side, and which is really great. Wiseman Maiwa, remember him? Unfortunately, he can't keep playing anymore because he had that injury. And Mashiane as well in the team. Ngobo as well needs to up his performance a little bit, but he's part of the team. Jabula Blom has moved on. Mulif as well. And then also we've got a Samkelo Zwane too. That's come in. So who needs Blom, right? When Samkelo Zwane is coming into the side. And I thought that he held his own. But it's a new direction, which is great. It's great in the sense that they're able to trust younger players. It's going to do well for the club. There's only one problem with regards to having to always promote youth into the side. I don't think they can match Mamelodi Sundowns in terms of having to pay the transfer fees that Sundowns is paying for players. So what they find themselves having to do is, why don't we create our own gems? But with that, like Arsene Wenger said, when you have to play with youth, they are going to make mistakes. And I think that if Chiefs are going to go in this direction, when is the right time to expect them to win the league then? When is the right time to expect them to compete then? And also consider the fact that another youngster doesn't go overseas. It would be great news for Bafana Bafana and the player himself, but he won't be there to help Kaizer Chiefs move forward. So credit to Atazwane for keeping it ongoing. But I think with this new model that they have is that we're going to see a lot more youngsters. Shabalala as well, Mdutuzi, he came in too. But you have to also lower down the expectations of what you think Kaizer Chiefs can achieve. But the Nedbank Cup, I expect them to fully go for it. But as for the league, I just think they're far behind Mamelodi Sundowns. The fairy tale of the season. Another win for the Natal Rich Boys. Man, Richards Bay. Richards Bay. Nah? I mean, they beat Swallows 1-0. And that's their 5th 1-0 win this season. This team does not score many goals, but one thing I can give you is that they keep a lot of clean sheets. A lot of clean sheets. And strangely enough, I didn't know this. I was doing my homework, and that's only their 2nd loss of the season. You speak about teams getting promoted, and you would have thought Richards Bay would be trying to fight relegation, trying to save their status, but they've only had 2 losses. And they find themselves behind Mamelodi Sundowns. And here's another one. Here's an outstanding stat that I also found as well. 14 games played this season and 10 clean sheets. I mean, do you hear that? They've played 14 times. And in 10 of those games, they've not conceded. So, and beating a Swallows that had earned Smindop there. You were just thinking that new manager bounce was going to come in at Swallows, was going to at least give them a little bit of oomph to play, but they were just not able to break down in Richards Bay. But here's the interesting part about Natal Rich Boys, is the fact that their next game is going to be interesting, because their next game is the champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, the team that is ahead of them in the league. And it'll be interesting to see this game because we've seen what you've been able to do against Orlando Pirates. We've seen what you've been able to do against the Kaizer Chiefs. What are you going to do against the Mamelodi Sundowns side? And a side that is the best attack in the league. So it's almost one of the best defenses in the league because Sundowns is the best defense, but Richards Bay is second best. But they're going up against the best attack. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And if they can get anything from that game, and I mean even a point, if they can get even a point, I think they can dream, guys. I really think they can dream. Never mind top 8. Never mind top 8. That's fine. I think they can do that. But Africa, Africa could be a conversation, that's for sure. A real fairy tale, and also it'll be interesting to see where they finish. Good luck against Mamelodi Sundowns. SuperSport managed to get a victory over Maruma Gallants this past weekend. They also managed to get something against Cape Town City. I have to say, Gavin Hunt is building something there, man. I've spoken about it before, but the fact that he's also reviving careers too. Look what's happening with Tulani Hlatshwayo. Look what's happening with Ndlovu too. He's just being able to take these players that at their previous clubs did not do so well, but now they're starting to become important. And I want to talk about 2 loanees from Sundowns. So these players are at SuperSport United, currently on loan from Mamelodi Sundowns. Grant Magaman as well as Ricardo Goss. They're performing really well. Ricardo Goss is finally getting the game time. Finally, he can start being in conversations for Bafana. And Grant too. Grant is picking up man of the matches. I want to talk to these players. Just you players. 2 of you guys. My honest feeling, my heart of hearts feeling, your future is not at Mamelodi Sundowns. I don't see you guys going back to Mamelodi Sundowns and getting the amount of game time that you're getting at this current moment. So what I'm trying to basically tell you guys is that when the season comes to an end, perhaps you can have a conversation because this could be your home. This could be your new home with a good manager too. And it's a great club. SuperSport is a great club. And I think it's something that you guys can spur on and go on with this club. I know that Ricardo Goss will be there next season because his loan is 2 years. But that's for Grant Magaman as well. I'm just looking at that midfield from Mamelodi Sundowns and I'm just thinking he just does not fit. And it's not because he's not a good player. It's just that they have just too many. There's too many players that play in that position. So I'd have to say to you boys, the opportunity is there. Take it. We've also got the following fixtures later tonight. There they are on screen. Royal AM going up against TS Galaxy. What's going on at Royal AM, guys? Apparently there's changes there. According to reports, Abraham Nteo is going to take over. What happens to Zondo then? Not really sure, but I'm expecting also TS Galaxy will be looking to continue their momentum after they beat Maritzburg United. Sundowns against Swallows, I spoke about that game. I'm expecting Sundowns to win. And also the fact that this Sundowns game came just too soon because of the quality side that they are. And Sekhukhune going up against Maruma Gallants. Interesting. I think Gallants are favorites because they know how to keep the ball. But somehow, I can just see this turning out to be a 0-0 draw. We'll see as to what happens, but I'm looking forward to those fixtures. It's time for our weekly bet of the week. The purpose of this segment is to show you my bet slip in hopes that it helps yours light and green. The more accurate, the more cash you get. Let's get into it. Just before we get into this, I just want to remind you guys that last week's bet won. Just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. Last week's bet won. Let's look at this week. Premier League fixtures. Arsenal going up against Newcastle. Tough. But I've gone with an Arsenal draw and over 1.5. So it's Arsenal or draw and over 1.5. Manchester United going up against Bournemouth. I've gone with a Manchester United win and over 2.5. Crystal Palace against Spurs. This was the tricky one, but I've gone with a double chance, but an interesting one. I'm saying either Crystal Palace is going to win or Spurs is going to win. No draw and over 1.5. And last but not least, the big fixture of the week, Chelsea going up against Manchester City. I think City will make it look very, very, very comfortable. And I've gone with the City win and over 1.5. The odds, 8.49. That's 8 times the money back. Put $500 down for it, 4.4, hoping to win that back. And those are my selections. That is Bet of the Week, sponsored by Betway. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Until the next one, all the best. We've come to the end of the show. Sadly, last week we lost a great, Pele. One of the greatest to ever play the game. Strange enough, I never got to see him play. But somehow his name continues to live on. And that's the inspiration that I take. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit the notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.